Pokemon Sleep is finally coming out this summer. Originally announced in 2019, Pokemon Sleep is something that I've been keeping my eye on for years. I've been excited about it, like legitimately. I think it's a cool idea. If you haven't heard of Pokemon Sleep, it's essentially just the sleep version of Pokemon Go, which, you know, is a huge hit. Pokemon Go is 7 years old as of this week. Even 7 years later, Pokemon Go is still like going strong. But it was revolutionary. Like, Pokemon Go came out and people were just like completely enthralled by it. I think it has, you know, this really perfect mix of like a lot of, you know, nostalgia for a lot of people, launching with the original 151 Pokemon, really smart move, encouraging people to go and like get outside and explore the places around them, really smart. It was a good time, you know, for people who lived in more rural areas, maybe not so much, but as somebody who was commuting back and forth between New Jersey and New York City every day, Pokemon Go was like pretty cool time. And ever since then, both the Pokemon Company and Niantic, the company that made Pokemon Go, have each individually been going down different tracks trying to like recapture that magic. Niantic, it's not going so great for them. Unfortunately, they just laid a lot of people off in the past couple weeks. They've canceled a lot of projects. They've essentially tried to make Pokemon Go like over and over and over again with different intellectual property to varying degrees of success. I remember that Harry Potter one came out and I played it for like 3 days. And I remember there was a point early on where they asked me to choose the wand, when like the most famous line in that movie, besides "You're a wizard, Harry," is "the wand chooses the wizard," and I was like, I don't think you understood it. I don't think you understood the assignment. But Niantic has tried to recapture that magic over and over and over again, and I think Pokemon is just so uniquely qualified to fit into that style of game, that like go out and explore and capture Pokemon, you know, that are like hanging out, use you know, locations as gyms that you can, you know, battle other people at. Like, it all just makes sense. It all just fits really seamlessly, I think, into the world of Pokemon in a way that it doesn't for something like Harry Potter, for example. Like, they made a Monster Hunter one. They tried making a Transformers one. They were working on like an NBA one, I think there was reporting about. Maybe that one even came out. I'm not even sure. Either way, like, Niantic has tried to recapture that magic. It hasn't super worked out, with the exception, the sole exception, the one game that I think really works in ways that are completely like antithetical to what they wanted, I imagine, is Pikmin Bloom. Pikmin Bloom was one of my favorite games that came out that year. And it was specifically like more a fitness and mood tracker than it was even a Pokemon Go experience. Yes, you were collecting Pikmin, you were sending them out on little quests, but for the most part, the idea of the game, or the progression of the game, was every day you would get up and you would walk around with your Pikmin, and as you did that, you would essentially bring life back to kind of like the barren, grassy area around you, and you could see, you know, flowers blooming around your house and on your walking path and stuff like that. And as more and more people in your area started walking around, it would create more flowers, more wildlife. It was cool. It was a cool thing. But I think the biggest thing for me was that the game would like ask you how you're feeling, pull in a picture from your photo roll that day, and like ask you to both journal and continue exercising, which are like two great things for improving your mood. The main crux of Pikmin Bloom was about like bettering yourself, was about like being a happier person, which I think really worked for me. I played it for like probably a couple months and had a really, really good time with it. I thought it was super successful, but it's also not the kind of thing you can easily monetize. There was really nothing about Pikmin Bloom that I was like itching to spend $5 on when it came to microtransactions. It just didn't make sense. I'm actually surprised Pikmin Bloom is like still being supported, given all of this, especially with all the layoffs at Niantic. But I'm glad that's happening, because honestly, I just think it's like a helpful game. If you haven't checked out Pikmin Bloom, you should go do that. The reason I'm bringing up Pikmin Bloom, though, and Niantic's whole side of this, is that while they've been trying to take the appeal of Pokemon Go, and specifically the mechanics of Pokemon Go, and force other intellectual property into it, the Pokemon Company has been coming at it from an obviously very different perspective. The Pokemon Company is trying to make more apps that hit the same way as Pokemon Go, but are about things other than walking. Even though Pokemon Sleep was announced in 2019, the first big app that I think was trying to go after that same Pokemon Go sphere was announced in 2020 and released shortly after, and that was Pokemon Smile, which is an app that was specifically designed to help kids like brush their teeth well and long enough. It's really silly, but it uses augmented reality to like project bacteria onto your face, and you have to brush your teeth and like brush the bacteria off. And while you're doing that, like Pokemon come out and hang out with you, like sit on your head and whatever. And there's like little bits of progression, but the game is really meant for like small kids. there was like a mixed reception of Pokemon Smile. I remember, just generally speaking, the augmented reality stuff didn't always work because like augmented reality in itself isn't always going to be reliable. But I think with Pokemon Smile and the announcement at the time of Pokemon Sleep, I could tell that the Pokemon Company, I think, was coming at this from the right direction. They were not trying to recapture the magic of Pokemon Go in that like they just wanted to mine that for everything it was worth. Instead, it seemed like they really wanted to focus on apps that became a part of your life. For a company with an intellectual property the size of the Pokemon Company, like it is the biggest intellectual property ever in human history, it was nice to see them focus specifically on creating apps and cultivating spaces built around the idea of betterment, and not like flimsy hustle bro betterment. It's not self-help books written by grifters style betterment. It's like actual tangible results that you can get by practicing wellness. And that leads us to Pokemon Sleep, which is a thing that I've been really interested in because Pokemon Go obviously is about getting up and going out into the world and like getting your steps in and rewarding you for doing so. Pokemon Smile is all about just brushing your teeth and like teaching kids how to brush their teeth. But I feel like sleep and sleep tracking is a really interesting space and not something that I think a lot of people are really cognizant of. Like, are they sleeping well? Why are they not? Are they sleeping the recommended amount of time? How do they feel in the mornings? Like, do they feel rested or not? I wear an Apple Watch every single day, and I recently upgraded to the most recent version of the Apple Watch specifically so the battery would last long enough to last all day and also through the night so I can charge it first thing in the morning when I wake up. And that has led me to start tracking my sleep in a real way. And honestly, since I started doing that, I've been sleeping better because I have a better understanding of, the conditions in which I will get a good night's sleep or not. And I think the thing about getting better at sleeping, even though it sounds like a weird thing, like to improve at sleeping, but getting better at sleeping and sleeping the recommended amount, which first of all, I can't recommend highly enough. My life was horrible before I started getting a normal night amount of sleep every single night. If you don't know this about me already, I had like really intense insomnia for a large portion of my life. I was sleeping like 1 or 2 hours a night for the most part. And it wasn't great. Wouldn't recommend. And it took me a long time to build myself up to the point where like I could sleep through the night at a normal time. And I think for most people, the idea of sleep tracking usually requires some kind of investment, like the purchase of an Apple Watch or something. And I think instead of something like this, overlaying Pokemon, like cute, fun Pokemon, into a sleep tracking app is actually really exciting. Now, the Pokemon Company did release a new trailer explaining how Pokemon Sleep works, how you play it, quote unquote. And I'm just gonna play a little bit of it.
The Pokemon Sleep app lets you track your sleep with your smart device and fill up your sleep style decks. Each species has multiple styles. By day, try giving Snorlax berries and making it food and drinks. Feeding Snorlax will increase its strength. If you get lots of sleep, your sleep score will be higher. Your sleep score multiplied by Snorlax's strength will decide its drowsy power. More drowsy power means more Pokemon may gather. I'm
of two minds about Pokemon Sleep. I think the execution of it leaves maybe a little bit to be desired. I don't have my hands on it, obviously. I will try it when it comes out. Mark my words. But there is something almost Pokemon Go adjacent about the implementation of sleep tracking with Pokemon Sleep and the gamification of it. Pokemon Go, I know a lot of people like it, and I know a lot of people have liked it for a long time. I liked it when it came out. I thought it was interesting, but it was so obviously like over complicated compared to the actual mechanics of Pokemon. Like, it felt like they could have so easily overlaid the actual mechanics of how you play Pokemon going all the way back to the original Red, Blue, Green release on the Game Boy into Pokemon Go, and that would have been fine. But instead they add, the 3 teams and the gym points and, Pokemon candies to upgrade and level up and like all these different currencies and ways in which they could monetize that game that eventually took me out of it. Eventually I was like, I'm managing too many things here, and I'm just like not having fun doing so why would I continue? Similarly, Pokemon Sleep just feels so weirdly overly complicated. To have all these stats like the Snorlax strength, and you need to feed him berries, so your sleep score will get multiplied by the Snorlax strength for your sleep bonus. Like I just don't know. I just don't know if that stuff matters to me as much as like I want the game to track how well I'm sleeping, obviously. And if I wake up and it's like, hey man, you got visited by a Squirtle, how cool is that? Like, that would be enough for me, for real. I don't need all of these like scoring mechanisms, I think. You could remove all of that and leave in the sometimes Pokemon will visit you and they'll visit you with different sleep styles. I love the idea of the sleep styles to specifically map how you slept onto a Pokemon. It's really cute. It's absolutely adorable. But all this superfluous information and gamification on top of that, I think it detracts from my interest in Pokemon Sleep. The other big thing that they leave towards the end of the trailer is that you need to have your phone plugged in on your bed face down near your pillow, and it can't be on a bed frame, it can't be on a solid surface, it has to be on your bed, unless you buy the Pokemon Go Plus accessory, in which case you can have that on your bed instead. But still, you have a device on your bed, and that doesn't feel great either. That to me just feels cumbersome. It feels a little bit too cumbersome. There's a little bit too much friction. Maybe some people will do that and they won't mind, and it'll be cool, and they'll have a great time with it, and that's great. I'm hoping to God that they implement some kind of Apple Watch support or something. Even Pokemon Go allows me to use the data from my Apple Watch to match walking speed and things like that. There is also the weird thing about how they're tracking the sounds you make while you sleep. I don't know if I like that. I mean, maybe that's fine. It's a little weird to me. It's a step too far. Regardless, Pokemon Sleep, I've been waiting for it for a long time. And I'm mixed on just this announcement trailer. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I can't wait to play it myself and experience it, play it for a couple weeks, and come back and see, where am I at on it. All of that said, though, I really think the Pokemon Company has the absolute right approach to this. Continuing to make apps that exist for the betterment of people is awesome. I don't know where they're going to go next. Pokemon Go, Pokemon Smile, Pokemon Sleep. Imagine if they made a meditation app next. How cool would that be? To use the joy of Pokemon to teach people the joys and benefits and exercise and strategies that come with meditation. That would be so interesting and so cool. But I just wonder, how are you going to raise your meditation score? Doesn't that seem like the antithesis of how that works? Even with sleeping, I feel so weird being yeah, man, my Snorlax is level whatever, and my sleep bonus is up, to 14,000. So beat that. I slept so good. Anyway, I want to know how you feel about all this. Let me know. Are you on my side? Let's pick sides. Are you on my side about the overcomplication of Pokemon Go and the overcomplication of Pokemon Sleep? Again, I know it's an app we don't have our hands on yet, but it just feels like they're adding 4 or 5 more elements than they need to. At the end of the day, I think just tracking your sleep by itself is hugely beneficial. It'll hypothetically change your life like it did for me. Similarly, Pokemon Go training you to get up and get outside and walk and get your steps in every single day, that's also great and cool and should be encouraged. But all of this other superfluous information almost becomes the friction that prevents me from doing the thing that will benefit my life. They almost got it. They almost nailed it. Who knows what's next? Anyway, that's Wavelengths for this week. It was a slow news week. There wasn't a whole lot going on. Peter Molyneux's back. I'll shout him out. Peter Molyneux came back and was hey, I'm making a new game, and I'm not going to be hyperbolic. I'm not going to go too wild. But this game is unlike anything you've ever played. It's I love that he can't help himself. It's so good. The games industry needs more people like Peter Molyneux that are I don't want to say delusional, because he does make great stuff. I love Fable 2. I even love Fable 3. If you played Fable 3 all the way to the end and got to the end game content, you know what I'm talking about. Fable 3, rocks. It's a little rough for a while, but by the end, great. I'm just so excited he's continuing to make stuff. Do you remember the Curiosity Box? How weird and exciting it was when that thing launched? Sign me up. Sign me up for whatever Peter Molyneux's up to. Anyway, my name is Brendan Bigley. This has been Wavelengths, a show about video game news. I'll catch you later. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. If you're listening to the show, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, comment on Spotify, whatever you feel like doing. Share the show with a friend would be super helpful. I love you so much. Goodbye.